So today's agenda on learning, basic things on Java is about, um, object-oriented concepts. And in that, we have to understand how constructor works, how to create the object, how you do the function call through the object, right? Very basic building blocks of your Java program. Okay, let's create a new one, a fresh one to understand. And if you have any doubt, you can ask me. Okay, let's create a new class in our home project, which we are doing this one. Okay, let's say we'll create a new class called EMP. EMP. Do it with me. And if you have Eclipse and Java, you should do all these things with me. I'll give you good amount of time to do all the things. Okay. So this is our main function. At the class level, let's uh, declare some of the properties. Okay. We say data properties. Okay. So we can decide, let's say int EMP ID, or let's keep it just ID. Okay, it is already under employee, so let's keep it ID, which is actually employee ID. Then let's have like um, string name. Okay, and salary. So salary can be double value. Okay, salary double means which can have decimal values. And that's it. We can have position also. Position. So, it's like, or the designation. Let's make it like designation. String. So some employee can be like QA, associate QA. Some can be senior test engineer, something like that. Okay. Company name, as of now, I'm not putting it, right? Because we want to do something with all these values. Okay, that's it. So, as I said that whenever you will create the object, okay, of employee. So this is the class level variables or instance variables, okay, which you have declared within the scope of this. See here, this scope is starting here. Once you write employee class EMP bracket, and there is a bracket. The scope of class is started from here to here, right? But let's understand, class level variable will be which is not under any other function. So the same thing, if you will declare inside the main function, that will not be called class level variables or instance variable, right? You have to declare it independently, but inside the class only. Okay, not inside any other function. Fine. Okay, so if I will create one object, I will say emp e1 is equals to new emp. This is the way or the syntax to create the object, to create the object of class employee. What happens in the background? We have talked about what will happen if, because of line number 13, what it will do, it will create or reserve a memory space, okay, where all these instance variable will also be present. Okay, so how many instance variables are there? You have ID. What else you have? You have name. Uh, you have salary and designation. So all will be empty. Nothing will be there. We have not put the values there. Correct. So here ID is there, and then name is there. Then you have salary and you have designation, something like that. Okay, fine. Now, now, once you create it in the background, this is happening. Okay, and the name of this or the reference of this object is E1. Clear? Now you can fill the values in 3 to 4 different ways. As of now, all these are empty. Correct? Can I print the values? Let's do it, right? So we'll understand how we make functions also. It's very simple. If I want to show the values of this particular, object, what I can do, I can simply say even dot show detail. That will not automatically show the detail. We have to write something to perform this. And Java, if you're working with Eclipse or any other IDE, it will show you all the errors, what you are doing, how you can resolve it, right? So when I'm saying even dot show detail, see here it's saying the method show detail is undefined for the type employee, and it will tell you the some fixes also. It's saying 2 quick fixes available, this and this. I'll select this, the first one. So what it is saying, it's saying that you're calling a function, but there is no definition part of it, right? So now we will write what it should do. This show detail should do. Simple. We'll print out no details. We'll say system.out.println this dot id, same thing. 4 things are there, right? So I'll print all those 4 things. So what we are doing here is ID, and then let's print. And why to print in all different lines? You can print it in single lines or single line also. Let me delete this. Why to waste this, right? So you can say plus in the double quote \t. Why I'm doing \t? Because I want to keep some spaces between these two values. The question is, what is this operator, right? Or what is this keyword, not the operator? So this actually denotes the current object. Okay, I'll explain. Just a minute. Let me write it first, then I'll explain. Plus, and why I'm putting plus sign again and again? See, this dot ID, this will be some value, and then you want to concatenate with string. So spaces are strings. Okay. So when you want to append some value from with the some string, right? So you have to concatenate it with plus sign. Okay. If I'll not put \t, that is also fine, or plus sign. But the thing is, the problem will be the value will be displayed one by one without any spaces. That is why only we are putting it properly. This dot ID and name is done. Let's print salary. And the last one, which is designation plus. That's it. So what we have done, In this program, we have a class employee, some class level variables. We are saying in the main function that we want to create an object and show the detail. Okay. If we will run this program, this is showing me 0, null, 0.0, null, because the ID value is as of now null for this. So by default, if you see for integer, 0 is there. For string values, by default, null is there. For salary, which was double, by default, 0.0 is there. And designation, which is again what string value, the value is null, okay, by default. Now, let's understand. So this keyword is fine. So what is this? This keyword? This keyword will simply represent the current object. So you said even.showDetail. So what it will do? When you will call this function, this means it will be even.id, even.name, even.salary, even.designation. Very simple one. Because see, multiple objects can be there, right? So to resolve it, it's doing in that way. So for example, I can have another employee. It's possible that I will have another employee here, which will be E2. E2. So when I'm calling show detail for E2, right, there should be no confusion in the background that show detail, if I'll call, it should display only E1's employee. E2 is a separate employee now. So when you will create E2, it will create these things again. Exact same thing. So I said last time that object is a kind of copy of class. Okay. So class provides you a template only, right? But when you create the object, it will be the copy of the class. Okay. It's like this. Now, if I'll print, see, E2 will also have uh, 0, null, 0, null, those things. Fine. Now, let's see. There are different ways to fill the values, right? So you can say E1 dot ID is equals to 101 and so on. I don't want to fill all the values. I just want to show you that if you want to fill the values of E1 object, so you can say E1.id is some value. So this will be override. Instead of 0, we'll put some new values. Fine. So if I'll run this program, you will be able to see that, instead of 0, it will show you, just a minute, did I saved it? Sorry, show detail, I called it first and then I'm filling the values, right? So let's say I am changing the things and then calling out this show detail. And this time, if we will run this, it's showing me 101. The rest of the things are same, right? But I changed the value of ID. Fine. Okay. Anyways, I don't want to do this thing. So I will comment it out. What I was saying is there are different ways to fill the values. One of the way is putting the dot and then filling all these values. Okay. Second way is when you are declaring the object, creating the object here, then and there pass the values, right? So for that, you have to create constructor. Okay. You have to create constructor, or if you want to initialize with some other default values, see, as of now, the default values you are able to see 0, null, 0.0, null. That is because by default, this data type for an object will have this default values. But let's say you want to put your own default values. It's possible that you want to put your own default values. So what you can create, you can create one non-parameterized constructor. Constructor is same name as class name. You have to just say emp bracket and then say this dot id, all those things. So let's say by default, you want to set the id is -99. Okay. And this dot name, you want to keep as null. That's fine. You want to keep this dot salary. So don't worry about the keywords. This means the current object from wherever you have called it. So this dot salary, let's say we want to keep it 0.0, and this dot designation, you want to put it as um, let's say test engineer. Okay, that's it. So what will happen this time, if I will print, I will create emp e1 is equals to new employee, automatically this constructor will be called whenever. So by definition, the thing is, whenever you create the object, constructor will be called automatically and it will fill out the values. Because you have created for the reference E1, it will fill out these values for E1. Okay. Same thing will happen for 25th line here for EMP, where you have created E2. So for that also, it will fill out these values. Okay. So by default, we want that everyone will have ID -99. Everyone will have name as null. Everyone will have salary as 0.0. And everyone is test engineer by default. You later on we will change it. So if I run this program, if you see here, both employee has some similar values. Fine. Now, this is one way. Another way is you create another constructor, emp, but this time have those values. So there are, let's say, these 1, 2, 3, 4 values, right? So why not you will have, let's say, 3 values. It's not necessary that you should capture all the values in constructor. It's not mandatory. Okay. So here I can say integer I, okay, or I can say ival. So that will, it will be more meaningful. id value. So in shortcut, id val. And second one is, let's say, name val. And third one, and which is a string. So you have to tell what is the um, data type also. And not the semicolon, you should put comma here. You are getting the values one by one. It will all make sense. Just wait for 2 minutes. You will be able to understand what we are doing. And double salary val. Okay. And here we'll say that same thing. This dot id is equals to id val, correct? This dot name is equals to name val, okay, and this dot was that salary is equals to salary value. Fine. So two ways. Either if you want to fill the values while creating the employee itself, you can do it another way also. Here, I can pass the values. So I want to pass the employee ID as 121, comma, name is QA, or give a name. Let's say John, comma, salary is, let's say, $10,000 or rupees. That's it. Fine. If you will observe this time, what we have done at 38th line is, while creating the object E2, at the same time, what we are doing, we are passing the values also. So again, constructor will be called automatically, but which constructor it will call? It will call a constructor which accepts three values. So it will find out, okay, there is a constructor which accepts three values. So 121 will go to this, John will go to this, 10,000 will go to this. And you're doing the same thing. You are just, whatever value you have. So 121 is with ID value. So 121 will be assigned to E2.id. This John will be assigned to E2.name. This 10,000 will be assigned to E2.salary. Why? Because you have called it for E2 only. Okay. So when we will execute this, let's see what will happen. So it's printing me for E1.showDetail. It's showing me -99 null 00 test engineer. Why it is showing me? Because for line number 26, we have not filled any values. So by default, it will call this particular constructor where you have put the default detail, something like this, or initialized something like this, where I'm saying, okay, everyone will have designation as test engineer. That's why when I'm saying show detail, it is showing me test engineer. Okay. Whereas if you see here, this particular E2 employee, I have passed three values. I have not passed the designation, right? So what will happen? It will call this constructor, and I have explained what will happen, right? But then what about the designation? If you see in the output, designation is null. Why? Because we have not filled it, right? So this is how it works. Now, this is one way to fill the values, right? So what we are doing, when you create E2 at the time of putting all these things, if you are doing it in this way, for the E2, part, things will be overwrite. The things will get overwritten. Overwrite means the values which you have initially, 0, null and all, now the new values for those ID will be 121. Okay. Name will be John. Okay. Salary will be 10,000.00. And here, because of the constructor, some default value will come. Okay. Default value will come. Or based on whatever through constructor you have said, that can come. Coming back to this is one way. But this is hard coding. You are getting all these values um, from the programmer themselves, right? What we can do is here, we can call a function, say even dot accept details. See, this name is given by us. You can give any name. You can say, get me employee detail. Any function name you can give. This is user defined function. What I'm saying, accept detail. So at the runtime, we'll accept these details and let's create a function for that. So we are creating a function for accepting the detail. So We have to write a program for that. So we'll say scanner. Scanner, any name you can give is equals to new scanner system dot in. Okay. This is to create one scanner object which will basically, parse the thing or scan the thing which you are providing in the console output or the terminal, and then we will have those value in our live program. Okay, so here I will say system.out.println. I will say, enter ID, name, what else? ID, name, salary, designation for employee. Okay, so there are 4 values which I am expecting user will give. So one by one, we'll keep it. So this dot ID will be directly. So this time we are not hard coding it. We'll get it from the user at the runtime. So say this dot ID is equals to sc dot next int. This is the way to get the integer. This dot name will be sc dot, I think it is just next. Okay, or next line will capture the whole sentence. Okay, not just a single string. Okay, let's use next as of now. Let's see what will happen. And then this dot, what was that? Salary is equals to, why I'm doing this? Sc dot next double, and this dot designation is equals to sc dot same next. That's it. See, making a function will make your program more readable, modularized, and maintainable. So this time I'm not hard coding the values. What I will say that, hey, accept the detail. Accept the detail or call a function which will fill out the values for E1. It's like this. You created it. See, empty object is created. When you say EMP is equals to new EMP, empty object means default values, 14 to 17th line. These will be the default values, let's say. But now I want to put my own details, right? So this is the better way to get the details and then show that, right? So show detail is a simple function which actually prints out all the values present for that object. That's it. This time, if I'll run this program, run as Java application, it is asking me enter ID and all this. So I'll say 222, name is Nitesh, salary is 1239.00. Then designation is test lead. Test lead. Enter. This time, if you observe, it is printing me, because of the line number 30, it is printing me the detail of the current values for the E1, which user has provided, right? So it's dynamic at nature now. I am filling out the values by asking to the user. It's like filling a form, right? When you register in a web page, you ask for some values and that values are getting stored. So we got these things, let's say from the interface, and then keeping it in the program. This value we can store in database also. If you want to further extend this program, you can store this value in some database. Okay. Have you observed that it is not printing test lead? It's saying just test. For E2, it's fine. Why it is not? Because for the E2, we have put the details in other ways, right? We are putting all these values uh, through constructor at the time of creating the object. We have not done E2.accept values. If we will do E2.accept value, it will again ask enter ID, name, salary for E2. Okay. Okay. As of now, let's resolve this. It's saying test. It's not saying test lead, right? So that is what I was saying. If you want to get the name, you should say it's means first name and last name both. So you should say sc.next line, I think. Okay. So this time, if I'll run this program, let's see what will happen. Enter ID, okay, 2224. Name is Nitesh. Okay, okay. It was not just about the name, basically for the designation part also. Okay, let me stop this program. You can terminate the program anytime. See here, there is a red icon. Terminate. My bad. This designation part should also be sc.next. Next line. Okay. Now we will run this again. And when we are running it, 223, let's say, name is Nitesh Jain. Oh, there is problem. What it is saying? A thread main java.util input mismatch exception. So it's saying that there is something mismatched. We'll resolve this. We will definitely going to resolve this. Don't worry.